Welcome to our Wellness Hub. My name is Moni C. I'm your host and mindset coach. I help women who need direction, confidence, and motivation by giving them actionable tools to slow down in their lives. I also interview experts in the field of health, wellness, healing, and mindset to offer additional support to people in their journeys of healing and improving their lives. Today's special guest is Nerissa Balland. She's an author and therapeutic art practitioner. Nerissa, thank you so much for being here with us today. Tell us a bit about yourself and what are you doing to help people from around the world? The floor is yours.
Well, thank you, Moni. I appreciate that. And thank you for having me. I explore what happens after survival, when life changes you and you have to decide who you become next. You survive and everyone around you breathes a sigh of relief, like the hardest part is over. But for many people, that's when the real question begins, right? Who am I now? What do I do with what I've been through? How do I move forward when I don't feel like the same person anymore? My entry point into this work was cancer, both my own journey, being diagnosed with metastatic melanoma while pregnant with a toddler at home, and then later through interviewing hundreds of young mothers facing cancer and other life-altering hardships for my book, Canvas of Courage. And what I kept seeing was that adversity changes people, but most people are trying to process those experiences without the tools, the space, or the language to move through them. The women I wrote about shared a few powerful commonalities along with mine, and they found ways to create moments of courage, connection, compassion, even under extreme distress. And many used creativity as a way to access presence and gratitude during seasons of fear and uncertainty. And over time, many stopped living solely for everyone else and began reconnecting with themselves and their needs and what truly mattered to them. And what often looks like brokenness is really unprocessed emotion, grief, fear, identity loss, or survival mode with nowhere to go. And that's why I use art differently, not as a product, but as a process. You don't need to be an artist. You just need a safe space to move what you're carrying. Because when people finally have somewhere for those emotions to go, it creates clarity and connection and often a way forward that feels like their own again. And because when people finally have that, whether it's somewhere for their emotions to go, there is a way for them to return to themselves in an authentic way. So whether it's through my book, my artwork, my workshops, or conversations like this one, my work is about helping people reconnect with themselves after life changes them.
And you help men, women, or mainly women, moms?
I would say, listen, I help anybody, but my core niche is women and children. And primarily, given my own experiences and where this stemmed from, was really young women. And I'll define that. When I say young, I'm talking about, let's say, from the ages of 20 to 40 years old, when I say a young mother. And I really like to define that specifically because there are plenty of mothers that have cancer, but they're at different stages or life-altering illnesses. They can be at different stages of life where they're still a mother, but maybe they've raised their children already. Their children are out of their house, so they're not pregnant or nursing or being that caregiver to someone else while needing a caregiver at the same time. Yeah.
And do you do workshops you mentioned? Do you also work online with clients?
Yes. Actually, when the pandemic happened and we all went online, that's when I started working more online with patients, especially when they're compromised with their health and immunity. online can feel safer for people as well.
And so walk us through one of your online sessions. How do they work, your sessions online?
Sure. Let me back up just one moment because I think it would be important for me to also express that my clients, right? So you could understand how the sessions work.
Mhm.
So my clients range from individuals navigating stress, burnout, grief, illness, major life transitions, and I also work with organizations that are focused on wellness, cancer support, and arts and health programming. So a lot of people I work with look fine from the outside. They're functioning, they show up, they're taking care of everyone else, but internally they feel disconnected from themselves. So the work that I do isn't about artistic talent. It's about creating a space to process, reconnect, and feel seen in a world that often expects us to move on too quickly.
Mhm.
So those are the people that would be coming to those workshops. And I often do, my sessions are usually group based. They're focusing on personal and professional development as well. I begin with a grounding practice to help people slow down and become fully present. Most people walk in or log on carrying stress and distractions or emotional noise from our daily life. So the first step is creating enough safety and stillness to connect with themselves. And from there, I guide them through a creative process using simple materials and prompts. And I always remind participants this is not about making good art, it's about expression and giving shape to thoughts and emotions that are often hard to put into words. And at the end, we reflect on what surfaced during the process. And often people realize insight and clarity or release that they're searching for is already inside of them anyway. They just needed the space and the access to do it.
And Nerissa, did you study art? Were you always a creative person?
Yes, I've studied art and been in art school primarily most of my life. I'd probably say I don't have a lot of memories before 5, but I can remember from 5 years old being in art classes and taking art outside of school independently, working with people. And I went to undergrad at the University of Maryland, where I studied studio art and got a Bachelor of Arts. And then I moved on to Pratt Institute, where I got my Master of Fine Arts. And then I spent 20 years before doing what I'm doing now in the creative field of advertising in an art and design space. Yeah, for about 20 years.
Mm. And then the pivotal moment was when you got when you were when you got cancer, when you were diagnosed with cancer, and something happened within you, or you just continued expressing your emotions through art, and then you decided that you saw that it was a way to help others, correct?
It's a great question or question slash observation. Yes, there's a yes and a no to it. When I was diagnosed with cancer, it wasn't immediate that I found that, but there was an immediate feeling of, am I going to die and how long do I have left? And what legacy am I leaving behind? These are very big life questions that throw out there. And I wasn't able to answer them immediately. Uh, and my art I had left for a long time. I like to say often that when I graduated from Pratt, I didn't want to be a starving artist in New York City. I wanted health insurance and I wanted all of the safeties and securities of a job so I could pay my loans back. So I say that I traded canvases for conference rooms and paintbrushes for promotions. However, the more I climbed up that corporate ladder, the more unhappier I was. But not to the outside world, more internally. And I suppressed those feelings a lot. And I felt that it wasn't until cancer and I There's a line that I use a lot in my book, even when in speaking engagements, is that sometimes that your greatest challenge can become your greatest gift. And I'm not saying that everyone with cancer needs to feel that way, because they certainly don't. But I did. I looked at cancer as it gave me a gift. It gave me a gift to come back to living more authentically, to becoming a better listener, to understanding myself more and how I fit into this world and what do I want to take from my experiences while I'm still here. Those were the big moments for me with a diagnosis. And a lot of that comes from time. I wasn't sure how much time I had. I am a two-time survivor of metastatic melanoma. So it was ongoing for a while, and lots of different treatments and many surgeries. So for me, it was a matter of time. And that concept of time changed very quickly overnight for me. When I always thought I have time was to the point of I may not have any more time and I don't have control over that. So I really had to work on what do I have control over? And a lot of that was my mindset and the stories that I told myself and what my brain was wired to also tell me. So it was a lot of work that I did to rewire the narratives that I had going on and what I believed to be true.
To focus on what really matters to
Yes.
in your life. And so mindset. So what do you do, for example, give the audience one practical tip to reconnect with themselves. Maybe there's someone in the audience who has been diagnosed with any kind of cancer. I mean, I know that there are different stages. And what is a tip that you would give?
So, yes, one tip I would have for audience, regardless of cancer, right? It's probably a tip for anyone, and many of us can suffer from anxiety because that can come up for a lot of different things. But if you were to take 7 quiet minutes with a piece of paper, a cocktail napkin, you don't have to have anything special, and you need a writing tool, a pencil, a pen, something, and you were to simply draw circles, no scrolling, no music, no multitasking, just repetitive circular movement. You can make it a pattern, you can make it chaotic. There's no rules to it other than there are circles, and that is a circular movement, repetitive, for 7 minutes in the quiet. That repetitive motion has been shown to help calm the somatic nervous system, reduce anxiety, and create a sense of grounding and safety in the body. And most people spend all day consuming information, but very little time checking in with themselves. So even if people were to say, Nerissa, I don't have 7 minutes, right? That's a very common thing I'll hear, especially from people that have a lot going on. I don't even have 7 minutes to shower. I'll say, then take a few intentional minutes of stillness, drawing, journaling, reflection, and that can help you hear your own voice again. And that is the start to expression. When I use the term creativity, I am not talking about artwork or being an artist. I am talking about expression. But when I talk about expression and go a little bit deeper, it's not just expression that equals healing, it's honest expression that equals healing. And that can happen, believe it or not, with drawing those circles for 7 minutes on something you can write down on. You don't have to keep it, but doing that over and over scientifically has proven to calm the nervous system. And when I say that, for some people who might be listening and the way I'm articulating myself with the nervous system could be confusing to you or you don't know much about it, think of it like an alarm clock when I talk about anxiety. It's buzzing, it's going off. You hear it going off, but you can't find that button to shut it off. And it's just continually going and it's driving you mad. That's the anxiety I'm talking about. And the central nervous system is you finding that button and pausing it or turning it off.
That's beautiful. Well, Nerissa, our time is up, unfortunately. It just flew by. I really want to thank you again for coming here and sharing your story, your knowledge. You're really making a difference in the world. You're helping so many people. And I thank you. We hope to see you again soon. The audience will have all your information, your book, and all your links under our interview. And until next time, thank you again for all you do.
Thank you. And just remember, broken crayons still color.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you.